this computer. Okay. And I would go for the screen sharing now. So today I'm going to share, today I don't have slides, picture slides, because these are a little complex. So today's class will be a little complex to share. There is actually a very deep substance. So it took me quite a bit of time to understand these levels of Samadhi. So different levels of Samadhi. So, Hare Krishna, Dilip ji, welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, the different levels of Samadhi, if you actually understand, then we actually know where we stand in terms of understanding our level of consciousness. So, Patanjali takes out time to actually describe these samadhis in very much detail. And this is what he explains in the first chapter, the different levels of samadhi. After explaining Ishvara Pranidhana. So basically, if you consider the mind, so the mind can go outward, like from your body, you are engaging. So you go outward and downward. So what is outward and downward? So basically in yoga, you have to elevate your consciousness to the level of your mind. You have to purify your level of mind. And this purification of the different levels of mind. So if energy is going upward, so the first thing is control of sex life. So therefore, the first thing is celibacy. Because what happens is, in today's world, unfortunately, there is a lot of push towards enjoyment of the senses. So what happens is, the more you eat, the more you enjoy the senses, the more your consciousness is below the navel. So navel, so it is said a yogi, he overcomes gross attachments to the body. He overcomes gross attachment to the body. He overcomes grossness of attachments, different things which can pull him down, so to speak. Down means what? When you eat too heavy, you have to sleep too much. You have to go to the bathroom too much. So you're, physically speaking, your belly is also very disturbed. However, a yogi means he is very much in the level of focused level of concentration, a yogi. Now, what does that mean? His energy is always going upward. He is always light. A yogi is always light. For example, since last 5 days, all I have been drinking is this chia seed juice, based on our book. As much as I want, this is all I am drinking. And I am seeing this has reduced the amount of, this is not the first time I'm doing it. You have to go, of course, you have to pass urine, but it detoxifies. You feel so much light. You feel so much relaxed. And because I'm writing this book right now, in order to go to the finer points of these verses, you need a very, very sharp mind. That won't come when you are heavy. A yogi restricts his eating. He is very, very focused on concentration. If our focus is, oh, I have to eat heavy, I have to eat heavy, when we are very focused on eating, that creates a very heaviness in your ecosystem that drags you down. So when you are heavy, so light means up, heavy means down. So mode of goodness means being light. When the senses are controlled. Just 1 second. So, uh, so the yogi, he is always going above. The prana is going above, raises above. So he's nourishing the finer tissues. The yogi, because he controls the air, the vayu, he can also levitate. But that is not the goal. The goal of yogi is not to levitate. The goal of the yogi is to come to the mode of goodness, is to increase the level of mode of goodness. So this mode of goodness is increased, is improved when he follows the yogic lifestyle. Now, before you reach the level of samadhi, it is already understood that you are in the pure mode of goodness. You are already in goodness, and you have eliminated passion and ignorance to a greater degree, or almost nil. So how does it show? How does it show sattva guna? In the first thing is what we eat. So this is sattva guna. Today I got a query from a friend, and he was saying that he was getting very disturbed by desire. He was getting attracted to a woman, his friend, and he was saying that how will I control this? So the first thing that is explained in the yogic scriptures is the control of food. So it is already understood that before you reach the stage of samadhi, you are already in the mode of goodness and raising yourself to the mode of pure goodness. So you have controlled eating, you have controlled sleeping. Otherwise, don't expect samadhi. So if we eat very heavy, if we sleep very heavy, we are in a very heavy Rajasic and Tamasic mode, there is no question of oneness of the mind. There is no question of concentration of the mind. Concentration of the mind comes when the senses are pure, when the senses are in the mode of goodness. So, for example, if you're always sneezing, your heaviness here, you're filled with cough, phlegm, your stomach is acidic, you are, so with all these things, there is no question of samadhi. There's no question of concentration. A yogi means he lives a lifestyle which is very, very favorable. Even sleep can be in the mode of goodness. Even sleep can be in the mode of goodness. So first of all, you are eating, you are sleeping. All these things, they can be in the mode of goodness. So in the lecture on Bhagavad Gita, Burijan Prabhu also says that if you want to know which mode a person is in, just look at the kind of food that he wants to eat. So what happens is when you improve or bring yourself to the mode of goodness and come to the mode of pure goodness, that is when you begin to get the entrance into samadhi. So samadhi begins when the mind is completely clear. When the mind is completely clear of all previous thoughts. That is also one of the stages of samadhi. So these different levels of samadhi are spoken in the second half of the first chapter. So it begins with verse 40. Verse 41. Okay, let's start from the verse 41. Okay, let me share this. Okay, here, this is my translation. Let me close this. Okay, let me just up this a little, reduce this a little. Okay. Oh, it went back to the first page. So, here, okay, here, if we go to verse 41, okay, this is when the stage of Samadhi begins. So when does it begin? The stage for the verse 41. It says, Kshina vratter abhijatasya eva maner grahitra grahana grahyeshu tatastha tadajnata samapattihi. So he says that accomplished meditation is a state in which the mind, which is free from afflictions, is able to understand and act as a transparent medium, grasping an object in its proximity, in its true sense, like a shining crystal, clear, precious jewel. Now, what does this mean? It's a very thing to understand. Now, your mind, your senses are providing input to the mind. Right? Now there is, for example, let's take a negative example. Now, for example, there is a drunkard or somebody who has a sweet tooth. So, moment he sees that sweet or alcohol, immediately those senses are attracted. Immediately those senses are attracted. Your senses get attracted. And what happens? As soon as your senses are attracted to that object, your mind, instead of understanding that, analyzing and understanding that object as and how it should be understood, instead it indulges in that object. For example, I remember one of my friends, he was admitted for alcohol addiction, and in the same room there was another person who was also admitted for alcohol addiction. He was at life and death stage. And his neighbor in the hospital, his neighbor means the next patient, he got alcohol. Somehow he smuggled alcohol. He gave it to this friend of mine. He also died. Now what happened? The thing is, the mind indulges in the object so much in the mode of passion or ignorance. It, instead of analyzing that object and understanding the object, whether it's good or bad for us, that level of intelligence, when that level of intelligence is missing, he indulges in that object and gets caught up with that object. That is the negative side. When you get caught up with the object. Instead, if the mind is clear, when your addictions are gone, so that is the prerequisite for Samadhi. Now when I see alcohol, I understand this is bad for me. When I see the sun, Surya, I see, oh, this is the source of light for the entire universe. I have no other conception. What other conceptions we can have? For example, one who is late for work, as soon as he wakes up, He thinks, oh my God, the sun has already risen. I have to rush. He does not think the sun is the supreme, the source of light. He reflects the light of Brahman. Let me worship him. So instead of realizing the depth of the sun, his mind is caught up with his own, and he thinks, oh my God, the sun has risen. This is negative. He thinks this is negative because I have to go to work. So his thinking is impelled because of he's focused, he's caught up with his level of thinking. It is not free thinking. It is not reflecting the object in its pure way. So here, when I am able to understand and reflect the object in its pure manner, that is what is explained here. So when I am able to understand, reflect the object in a pure manner, just like somebody may give you a $10 coupon for eating in a non-vegetarian restaurant. Now, some people think, oh, $10 free food, let me eat whatever it is. So somebody who is intelligent, he will think, oh my God, this is suffering. I shouldn't eat meat just because I got this coupon. So he uses intelligence and he acts on a higher platform. He understands things in their true perspective, whether it is good for him or not. He understands the true nature of things. So a yogi, similarly, he understands also the true nature of things as it is, when his mind is clear. So coming to the mode of goodness is the most important aspect of a yogi. Coming to the mode of goodness. A pure mode of goodness, and higher the level of mode of goodness, the yogi is able to raise himself. Now, he says the first level of samadhi. Samadhi is divided into 4 levels. Vitarka, vichara, ananda, asmita. Vitarka, vichara, ananda, asmita. So now he is explaining the first level of samadhi. What is vitarka? Understanding that I have achieved stability in position. So I'm able to sit in a position for like at least 2 hours. 2 to 4 hours I'm able to sit in a position. That is the first. Then once I'm able to sit in a position for 2 to 4 hours, then I get a lot of stability in that situation. On top of it, my mind is now purified. I'm able to grasp an object. Now, this is the first level. Once you are able to grasp the object, then now how do I meditate on the object? So the first level of meditation is called Shabdartha Jnana. Shabdartha Jnana Vikalpai Sankirnas Savitarka Samapattihi. So how it goes is, suppose I take this glass as an object to meditate. You can take any object. So when you meditate in the level 1, I'm just meditating on this glass. I fully concentrate on this glass. And as I go forward in the level of yoga, I focus on this glass, I meditate on this glass. And in level 2, first I identify this glass. First I need to understand this glass, or this is glass. I understand this is glass. Then I meditate on this glass. After meditating on the glass for some time, then I don't have to keep on remembering glass, glass, glass. The moment I see this, I get intuitively I can meditate. My meditation level is strong. In the beginning, when I meditate on something, I think about all the different things that this glass represents. There is a word. But if you see the word glass and this glass has nothing to do with the word glass. I can call it cup also. I can call it a bottle also. I can call it anything. Usually in this world, we associate some word with an object. Some word can mean something else in a different language. Like there was a joke. Once we were going to Indonesia in a train. And in Indonesia, when I was in the train, everybody would come, everybody would put, like just like India, they would give you comb, fan, all the things they want to sell. And after some time, they will take it back if you don't sell, if you don't want to buy. And as they were going, they would say, terima kasih, terima kasih, terima kasih, terima kasih. We were like, what is this, At last, my friend who was with me, he got very upset. He said, what is this terima kasih, terima kasih, terima kasih? He said, Tera baap Badrinath, in anger, he said. Then the last guy would tell him, terima kasih, he said, Tera baap Badrinath. Teri ma means you're my mother. And Kashi, so your mother is in Kashi. What is this? What does this mean? So we asked the Indonesian friend, what does it mean? Oh, terima kasih means thank you. But we couldn't understand. And so similarly, one friend came up to us. He said, so there are different words that mean different things. And it could even offend. But we associate a certain word with an object. So similarly in this world, that is why it is called Nama Rupa Jagat. He has a big name. His name is famous. Just the name will work. So the name associates with the object. In the first stage in this world, we know everything by every object by a name. We just instinctively to understand an object. It is to express an object, you need a word. Or if you are at that level of understanding where you just understand an object just by seeing without having. So you don't have to associate the word with that object. So in the beginning, a yogi understands an object with the word and everything. But then what happens? So therefore the translation here is the state of accomplished meditation, samapatti, filled with imagination based on the knowledge of word meaning, speculative guess, fancy, doubt, uncertainty is called savitarka. So there are 4 stages of samadhi: vitarka, vichara, ananda, asmita. So the first stage is called savitarka. Savitarka, nirvitarka. Vitarka is divided into 2 stages. Vitarka, savitarka, nirvitarka. So after meditating on an object for a long time, then what happens? Just like you get addicted to something, you don't even have to think. Just the remembrance of that object is, you fill up, your mind gets filled up. You don't have to remember, what was the name of that person? What is this? What is that? No, you are filled with a lot of attachment in that object. So, when that object dominates the mind, but what is that stage? Smriti parishuddho swarupa shunyeta arthamatra nirbhasa nirvitarka. So swarupa, so the goal of this meditation is smriti parishuddho. Smriti parishuddho means Every morning you may think, just like on my, uh, we are all desiring something in life. And after a certain stage, we know that may not be possible for us. So we may be desiring to be millionaires, we may be desiring to be trillionaires, but after a certain age, we realize, oh, this trillionaire is not my job. But yet, if you have that strong desire, number one. Second, in your life, you might have had some trauma or suffering which you may carry every day in your life. Every day, that trauma, that suffering, or that whatever, good or bad, both, it may dominate your mind. Your ego may dominate your mind, whatever. Something is dominating your mind. And that is not letting you get into the stage of Samadhi. That is not letting you meditate on Ishvara or Krishna. So that object, so all those memories that are overall present, that are harming your remembrance of or your depth in meditation, all these good and bad memories are making you suffer, good and bad. So what happens is smriti parishuddha. When your mind becomes one-pointed, all these things go away. All these things are gone. Smriti parishuddha. Swarupa shunya vartha artha matra nirbhasa. So if you read the translation, when memory is fully purified and only the perceived object shines forth, devoid of its own identity, and no doubt it is called as nirvitarka samapatti. So for example, now I'm fully clear this is glass. So I just meditate on glass. So this is glass. So this glass is made up of what? This glass is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. There is some amount of fire there. There is ether, definitely. There is earth. There is water, some amount of water. So then I begin to see that object. So then the point is artha matra. So I see the combination. So what happens is that realization dominates your mind. So whatever object you look at, you carry that consciousness to that object. For example, when a detective, I remember watching this Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. So in that, his wife calls him and he's speaking to his wife. He's running his company. So whoever calls him, in the end, he tells that person, don't forget, you are my number one customer. Don't forget, you are my number one customer. So similarly, when his wife calls, he's so habituated, he says, don't forget, you are my number one customer. In the end, the wife says, oh my God, you don't even have a separate line or love for your wife, and she bangs the phone. So then he realizes, oh my God. So whatever consciousness you develop, you actually pervade that consciousness. So whatever you see, when I'm able to meditate on this and I'm able to realize that this is earth, water, fire, air, ether, I'm able to see the same thing everywhere. So that is nirvitarka. I'm able to break up. I'm able to simply meditate on that object and gradually realize that this is something which is product of nature. And I don't worry too much about the name, form, and everything of that object. But my consciousness is simply I'm meditating. I'm throwing everything else. I'm throwing away all other thought. Then this is a product of nature. Then everything. Then gradually the point is our consciousness should be away. So we overcome all the traumatic, good, bad experiences and we meditate. One object is used to eventually meditate on entire nature. We are not at that stage. Because when we see somebody, we immediately, oh, he's this caste, he's this, he's that, or we have some misconception, he's this, he's that. But to see everybody as belonging to a certain nature, this belongs to nature. It's earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. To be neutral. So basically, when you meditate on that object, you are completely so immersed that you see everybody in that way. You become neutral. Your mind is withdrawn from all other trauma, preconceived notions, and you become merged. Your mind becomes merged in that meditation. And then comes vichara. So, vichara. So basically, vichara. So that is vitarka samadhi. So now before we go ahead, any questions or comments on this? Okay, there is a question here. Name of all states not clear. So that is the first one is vitarka. Vitarka. Tarka means to argue. So you're basically arguing with your mind to meditate on understanding an object. So similarly, when you understand one object in this universe, you understand that every object in the universe is understood, is of the same nature. So when you understand one human, that he is this, you see all other humans, they are of the same physical nature. So you understand that same nature. So that is savitarka. The next is vitarka. The second is vichara. Vichara means vichara. Vitarka means argue. Vichara means contemplate. The third is ananda. I will explain that. And the fourth is asmita. Vitarka, vichara, ananda, asmita, sampradnyataha. That is sampradnyata samadhi. So the first two stages are explained here. So far any questions on this savitarka stage? Is it clear? Or is it confusing? Am I just speaking, or everybody is able to understand? You can just chat or let me know. Or
Hare Krishna, bro.
yes.
So, Prabhu, so here we are talking about objects, correct?
Yes.
So all are objects in the sense which objects? Like when we say meditate, that time we have to think about like Vishnu's form or like the object of this worldly things.
Okay. So there are two types of meditation. Vijnana Bhikshu, who is a Vaishnava commentator, he says initially for a devotee of Krishna, he begins to meditate on the Murti of Krishna by chanting his name and meditating on the Murti. At the second level, then what happens in the beginning, to meditate on that Murti, he has to understand. But in the second stage, he sees that Murti very, very clearly. Because of continuous meditation, all other thoughts, confusions, everything is gone. It has become a second nature to him. Level 3, he begins to contemplate because his Murti is so fixed, he meditates on the spiritual nature of Krishna. And in the fourth stage, then how Krishna will interact with you in that nature. So he meditates on that. That is on the spiritual platform. But a yogi who is not yet on that spiritual platform, his object of meditation, he can take any object, the sun, the moon, anything, or a glass, anything, or a cow. Once he fixes his meditation, so because the yogi does not meditate on Krishna, so such people think an object is always for later on to discard. The object is immaterial. So they think of Krishna also that way. But the theistic yoga explains that meditation is only for Krishna. First you meditate on the Murti of Krishna, and then gradually, as that meditation solidifies, then you gradually get into the you that Murti dominates your mind. Means that dominates your mind in such a way that that samskara becomes very strong. Remember, you have all your other samskaras, all your other thoughts are still there, but this samskara has become dominant, and it overcomes all other such samskaras. Then, as you meditate, then next after that, it's like it's like a still. The second is animation. So then you see Krishna, then you meditate on his qualities, spiritual qualities, and then you meditate on his Leela. Nama Rupa Guna Leela. So that is actually how, if you see, the levels of Samadhi also proceeds. That for that you should have accomplished all the previous steps. If you understand this, you will also understand that. That what we are talking about, Nama Rupa Guna Leela, that is actually the levels of Samadhi over there.
And Prabhu, before meditation of on any objects or anything, one should be in a mode of goodness.
Of course, that is my realization of living in different temples. Why many devotees struggle? Why many devotees are? Which devotees are realized and which devotees are not? Many devotees struggle. Most devotees struggle. And when I sat down to understand these reasons, when I started to write this book, my whole objective of write this book is to understand and realize what is. Even in the Bhagavatam, it mentions that devotion also can be in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. That is why in the Bhagavatam there is devotee in the mode of ignorance. That is Daksha. He loses his head because of his mistake. Devotee in the mode of passion is Dhruva, because he wants some material, interaction with Krishna. He wants that material kingdom. But a devotee in the mode of goodness, he only wants Krishna and nothing else. Krishna also, this also. No, only Krishna. That is devotee in the mode of goodness. So until and unless we are not in the mode of goodness, we want Krishna also, name, fame, enjoyment. We don't want anybody in our temple. We want to dominate this, that. All this is in the mode of passion and ignorance. But to enter Samadhi, you have to be in mode of goodness. So otherwise you can do everything, you will still remain in mode of passion. You are practicing bhakti, but you are in mode of passion. So what is the result? There is no result. There is only birth and death. Of course, something you have done, you will continue in the next life. But only when you come to the mode of goodness, that is when bhakti begins. Otherwise, your chanting also is like punya, chanting with the desire. Chanting without a desire, because the only desire is Krishna. Krishna's satisfaction. Now that is rare. So mode of goodness and Krishna can be experienced only in the mode of pure goodness. Vasudeva Sthiti. It is explained Vasudeva Sthiti in the very beginning of Bhagavad. Does that answer?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Prabhu, I have another class, so I'll be leaving soon.
No, okay, sure.
But I have a recording, so I will.
Yeah. So I'll put it on Facebook and YouTube anyway.
Yes, Prabhu.
So this is Vitarka. Now next is Vichara. I think that's all we have time. So we will do Vichara and then Yoga Nidra. Then the second two Samadhis, then I will do it tomorrow. So Vichara means now I now completely distinguish the object. I split this object completely as earth, water, fire, air, ether. That's all. I don't see that object anymore. In the first stage, the object is there. There is name, imagination. I have to imagine that object, this, that, all these things. After some time, you don't need to imagine the name, form, everything. You have to just focus on that object. Then that object dominates your mind. Everything else goes away. Your mind is purified. Your memory is purified. Your mind is firmly fixed on the object. Stage 2, I have split this object now in Vichara Samadhi, the second stage of Samadhi, into earth, water, fire, air, ether. And I see how much percent earth is there, water is there, fire is there. The yogi can penetrate the very nature of the object. The yogi can penetrate the very nature of the object. So, because the yogi can penetrate the very nature of the object, after some time, once he does with one object, he sees the same with every object. He can, that is what is used in Siddhi later on. Later on, when he gets Siddhis, that is how you meditate the nature of an object. If I meditate on the nature of the sun, it is said one gets the complete knowledge of astrology. If one meditates on the moon, you get the knowledge of star formation. So in that way, he can meditate on any object and understand the essence of that object. So that is Vichara Samadhi. In that also there is savitarka, nirvitarka. Nirvitarka means I see the elements of that object beyond time and space. Means I begin to see Prakriti. That is nirvitarka. When a yogi begins to go beyond time. Means right now I'm meditating on this body, I'm still aware of time and space. However, when you meditate on an object and you go beyond time and space, that is nirvichara samadhi. It's a very high level of samadhi meditation. In that, you are completely meditating on the essence of the object, completely broken down, only on the essence. Vitarka vichara. So savitarka, savichara means I meditate on the elements of the object, but still I am under a time and space. But then when I realize that this universe, even when time is finished, the elements exist. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, they exist. Even beyond this time. The soul exists even beyond this time. And when my meditation is on those elements, then I am in Vichara Samadhi. Nirvichara Samadhi. All right. So is that clear? Questions, comments? No questions means no doubts.
To make this, the concept now, this become little, to use the word, it has become very abstract. To relate, because I feel it abstract because that's not the path I was in. So from the bhakti concept, how can we correlate the samadhi's stages?
So that is what I exactly told Rishikesh. It's a good question. So now, the bhakti path we follow.
That is Leela Rupa Guna.
Yes, yes, exactly. So first thing is, now you are trying to chant, correct? Now when you try to chant, you are thinking about your daughter, husband, house, investment, right? All these things you are thinking right now, correct? So all these things will spring up in the mind, correct? What should I eat? What should I drink? This, that. So that is stage 1. Stage 2, at least when you try to chant and meditate.
Hold on, Prabhuji. I want that again with the name that we have given. So that comes under
Vitarka.
Vitarka. Okay.
In the Vitarka, divide Vitarka into 2. Savitarka, nirvitarka.
Okay. In that, which one it comes? That's what I wanted
No,
to.
savitarka, the first stage, when you are chanting with offense,
Okay.
or when you are meditating with offense. With offense means you are chanting, but you are not giving full attention,
Yes. Mm.
right? You are not able to give one pointed attention.
Mm.
So that is savitarka. So nirvitarka means now your concentration, you are able to hear the name without any disturbance. So gradually you chant, your concentration level now is in such a way that you are able to attentively hear.
Mm.
Okay? But I have not gotten emotional yet.
Correct.
Now, savichara, next is vichara samadhi, again divided into savichara, nirvichara. Okay?
Mm.
Now, savichara means, first step savichara, I am able to meditate on the name of the Lord without understanding that now I don't need to fight to get concentration. Concentration is already there. Now I start to add emotion. Now I realize that this name of the Lord is not different from Krishna. Right? I'm able to be in that consciousness, continuously in that consciousness. Yet right now I am aware of my present circumstances.
Mm.
Right? I am still present, aware, and I am just still a little bit of bodily concept is there. Now, when you go to nirvichara, you chant the name and you are lost in time. Means you completely get lost. Not the get lost. Get lost means you are completely lost or you are absorbed. You are so absorbed, you are unaware of time. You are just absorbed. This name is everything I have to absorb. You are completely absorbed. Yet you are physically chanting. That is savichara. That is after vitarka, then vichara. Okay. Now, when you go to ananda stage, now ananda means where now in all these stages you are using your mind to concentrate. Okay. Now, ananda samadhi means where instead of using the mind to concentrate, I concentrate on the mind itself.
Mm.
Means I become so strong that I can mentally chant now. So when I am able to chant mentally very strongly, then after having that strength to chant mentally, right now you try to chant mentally, nothing works, right? You are thinking about job, this, that, your mind is, you cannot chant mentally, you have to physically chant.
Mm.
So you are able to chant mentally in Ananda Samadhi. And the last stage, Asmita Samadhi, where you are getting very close to the soul. You are at the level of intelligence. Means you are able to chant fully aware, almost aware of you being the soul, that you are not the body. Your awareness is so high. You go beyond time. You are not aware of your body. You are just focused on your level of awareness of the soul is very high. Makes sense?
Very nice, Prabhuji. Yes, this is very clear now.
Yeah. So that is why Vijnana Bhikshu gives a Vaishnava understanding of Yoga Sutra.
Ah, okay.
Whereas in general, commentators will explain the level of samadhis and all this, which are important. to understand in their conceptual stages. Why is it? But at the same time, the devotional way, how a devotee does, who is already knows Krishna is supreme, he doesn't need to go through these stages. He just needs to focus on Krishna, you know.
So you are using Vijnana Bhukshu Patanjali Yoga Sutra explanation as your basis.
For my book, no, I am using many actually. But my main focus is Krishnamacharya.
Oh,
Also, Krishnamacharya explains that yoga is for understanding Sriman Narayana only. He explains very beautifully that yoga is only meant for Sriman Narayana. That's all. It's only meant for worshipping Sriman Narayana. And he explains the meditation is on the heart. Even in Hatha Yoga Pratipika, he says a yogi finally sees Vishnu face to face in the heart. Krishnamacharya says yogi sees Sriman Narayana in the heart face to face, you know. Very beautiful. All right. So,
now this is becoming more relishing.
yeah. No, it is more.
Yeah. Because I can't relate. I can't relate to that.
Yeah. That is very complicated.
Yeah.
That is for young people like me to break their heads. So those who are already in bhakti, the thing is, if you understand both sides, but you understand the relevant side is the bhakti side. So, but if you understand this concept now chanting, you can pace out your chanting, correct?
Correct.
Now it makes you think that I should reach this stage.
Yes.
Yesterday I saw some.
There is measure to say that, okay, where I am, where to reach, how to go. Yeah.
See, these things are not very clear in many Vaishnava literatures also. Although it says we have to love, surrender to Krishna and everything, so many things, but many things of these stages, so a guru is supposed to teach, you know. So we are very much into the regulated devotional service, which is needed. I saw one devotee, some Maharaj was giving lecture, then he said, Maharaj, when will we actually go into the stage of Nama Rupa Guna Leela? But here it is very clear. You have to come to the mode of goodness. Then after that you meditate, and these are the stages you go. And how many hours you need to meditate, how much you need to do, all these things are very clear. So that is why if you have the knowledge of Upanishads, if you have the knowledge of all these technical things, then when you apply it to bhakti, it is very powerful. Just like I was speaking to one more devotee just half an hour ago. That devotee was struggling and he said his guru told him to sit down, close his eyes and chant for 2 hours. He was asking me, how do you sit down for 2 hours? Then I was explaining to him that you should sit in Vajrasana, Siddhasana to be able to sit in 2 hours. You should sit in Padmasana. So, you know, see, all these things matter. So to be able to sit down and chant, how many of us are able to chant without having any disturbance, you know? So we have to reach that platform. So your question made it very relevant. Thank you, Mataji. So any other questions, comments? These kind of questions is what make it very interesting. Then I also begin to think deeply, applying. Okay.
My objective was attending these classes is they say that bhakti should also be always be followed with knowledge and detachment. That knowledge you apply to get detachment. So I said, okay, I should gain more knowledge, more understanding. Then I will be able to get the detachment to move with my bhakti. So that's my objective in attending. So I'm looking from that perspective.
Exactly. So my goal of Yoga Sutra is also for us to understand the technical aspects of how the mind works. What is dhyana? When we go next, in the next few classes, we will see the depths of dhyana, how one should, how one image, how one thought is replaced by another, how it works. All this in dhyana, it's very beautiful. This is there in Bhagavatam also, but one has to sit and read it. One has to sit and break your head and understand it. That is a little difficult. So what I'm, by speaking also, it, see, Paramatma is the one who is letting me speak these things. So what I have studied also, when I answer these questions, things, the Lord puts it together and gives me an answer also.
Right. Sometimes, because I was in teaching, I know sometimes answers come very spontaneously. You won't
Yeah.
even know that answer exists. And
Yeah. Of course, certain things I had analyzed, but to put it together is also a, yeah. Okay, so this is for today. We will now start the Yoga Nidra if there are no questions or comments. All right. I hope everybody got the concept. This was a little technical and we'll go more nicer and technical tomorrow as well.
but that bhakti example, it became clear to me.
Yeah. Because for us, because we do not practice meditation, we practice bhakti, we are unable to relate it. But because when we practice bhakti, now we are able to relate it. Okay, so let us start the practice of Yoga Nidra. Deep breathing. Inhale and exhale deeply. Focus on your throat. Feel the breath moving through your throat. Inhale and exhale deeply. Completely meditate on your breathing. Now gradually meditate on the toes of your feet. Inhale and exhale deeply. Feel all your toes relaxing. Now meditate on the soles of your feet. Feel the soles of your feet completely relaxed. Om. Meditate on your heels, ankles, calf muscles, knees, thighs, buttocks, pelvis. Now gradually just touch your forefinger and thumb. Now meditate, don't press, feel the pulse, breathe in and out deeply. Meditate on the palms, back of the palms, wrists, forearms, elbow, biceps, triceps, shoulders, shoulder blade, lower abdomen, navel, upper abdomen, chest, neck, chin, cheeks, eyes, eyebrows, in between the eyebrows, forehead, temples, ears, top of the head, back of the head, entire back. Breathe in and out deeply, keeping a mental picture of yourself. Feel completely relaxed. As you breathe in and out, feel your entire body releasing all the negative energy. You're feeling completely relaxed. Completely focus on your throat and on the deep breathing. Now gradually meditate in your heart. And as you breathe, feel the sound of the breath resonating in your heart. That is the seat of prana, the heart. Next to the prana is the mind. By deep breathing, calm the mind. Krishna says, of all the senses, I am the mind. Let this mind calm down. Gradually meditate on the soul. You are this blissful soul. This mind and prana are only there to assist the soul. You are free. The soul, this body is only a vehicle for this soul. This is only a machine. So don't be too attached, too emotionally disturbed with this machine. Give up all ego, it is just a machine. Be attached to the soul. That is the real self. You are blissful. You are only undergoing this human experience for the time being. Meditate on the soul deeply, and all this pain will be finished. Meditate on the golden, beautiful soul, and in the heart is the beautiful Paramatma. The moment you realize you are the spirit soul, you are blissful, you have nothing to do with this world, and you depend on the Lord, your life will become very easy. Because the Lord is always there to protect such a surrendered soul. Let us simply surrender unto Him. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Let's meditate on the heart, and gradually all the bliss will come. Meditating on the soul and hoping for the best. Depend on the Lord, all the miracles will happen. That is yoga. The real blessing in all these miracles. Be satisfied, be peaceful, be energized. All good things are coming. Gradually come back to meditation on your body. Become aware of your entire body. Breathe in and out deeply. Relax fully, being grateful, energized, fully strengthened. Open your eyes, energized. Thank you so much for joining today. And I think it's time to turn on the camera and say goodbye, and let us join again tomorrow. I'll continue with this Samadhi part. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna. See you all tomorrow once again.
Looks like there's a question, Prabhu.
What is that? Can't hear you.
No, Prabhuji, I thought there was a comment, but it was only someone saying thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.